In this video, we'll explore the new FX Layers feature, a first-of-its-kind abstraction in a website builder, introducing a modular workflow and building blocks for crafting modern section and container designs. FX Layers streamline the creation of visual assets for website designs, offering a more efficient alternative to traditional Figma workflows. Instead of designing in Figma, exporting image or SVG files, and ending up with a static design, FX Layers generates the same design using HTML and CSS. This results in a lighter payload while also allowing for adding animations and interactivity without additional coding or use of other tools like After Effects. There are several demo sections available in the design library that you can download and learn from. In this video, we'll go through the fundamental ideas that make up the FX Layers feature, the different settings and layer types available at the time of this recording, and finally, we'll create a card design so you can visually experience the workflow. At the moment, you can use the FX layer in the Elements Hive section and Elements Hive div elements. The implementation in both elements and in any future elements will be the same. FX Layers allows you to create one or more layers group, which in turn can have one or more layer. Just like in Figma, every group and layer can have different properties applied, like a mask, filters, and blend mode, giving you complete freedom to create your visuals. Groups are stacked on top of each other, and layers inside a group are in turn stacked on top of each other. In this example, we can see that different groups and layers with different properties are stacked on top each other in order to create the final design. Let's look at the composition of a few examples before we look at the available settings. Here we have an image layer. If we add to it a mask, the result will be a masked image. In the next example, we have an interactive composition created using two layers groups. The first layers group contains an image layer and a glass morphism layer that blurs the image layer. The second layers group contains an image layer with the same image as the first one. On the layers group, the interactive reveal option is used to hide the layers group and only reveal a portion of it based on the mouse position. The result is a blurred image that can be partially revealed using mouse movement. Lastly, we'll look at an animated composition made up of one layers group and three layers. The first layer is a color layer with a given dimension, a position, a blur filter, and a loop animation applied. The second layer is also a color layer with a different color, dimensions, position, and loop animation. And the third layer is a fractal glass layer type. When combined with a pure black base background, this results in a refraction-like visual effect. Let's now look at the settings and layer types currently available. We will use the Elements Hive div in this tutorial, but the settings are the same for the Elements Hive section. The first setting is the base background. The base background can be of a solid color or one of the supported gradients. By default, the base background is applied to the FX Layers container, but you can also apply it to the wrapper element instead. The FX Layers container gets created when the first layers group is added. FX Layers is composed of one or more layers group, and you can add as many groups as needed by your composition. A layer group is in turn also composed of one or more layers, and can also have as many layers as needed. Layers come in different types. A layer type defines either the type of content it can contain, like image type, or the composite effect it abstracts, like the noise type. At the time of this recording, there are 6 layer types to choose from. Let's add a color type for now, to help us visualize the settings we have. The first thing to note is that we have setting categories that are common to both layers groups and layers. The common setting categories are container, mask, animation, and advanced. If we open the layer, we can see the same categories inside the layer as well. Inside a layer, we can also have layer type specific settings. A color layer will have a color setting. An image layer will have image-related settings like the image and whether to lazy load it or not. In a video layer, we can add an MP4 file, a WebM file, and a fallback image. In a noise layer, we can define the noise color, the noise frequency, which will define the visual look of the noise and whether it is animated or not. The glass morphism type gives you the ability to blur the content behind it. The effect is not visible with only a base background, so let's get rid of it for now. With the glass morphism type, we can control the blur level and the transparency level. With the fractal glass type, we can control the number of fractals and the angle. The first common setting category we have is the container category. Remember that the common settings categories are the same for the layers group as well. In the container category, we can control the width, the height, the border styling, apply a rotation, and define the position. In the mask category, we can apply a mask image to our layer or layers group. FX layers includes over 50 shapes to choose from with a diverse range of shapes and styles to suit different design needs. And you can also use a custom image of your choosing for the mask. You can also control the repeat mode, the mask size, and the position. The last options give you the ability to flip the orientation of the mask both horizontally and vertically. In the animation category, you can choose from a list of predefined animations to apply. At the time of recording, loop-type animations are available. For all animations, you can control the direction and duration. Certain animations also have movement factor setting that can be used to influence the intensity or distance of the movement. In the advanced category, you can apply filters like blur. You can also apply different blend modes. You also have control over the opacity at different breakpoints. and also the possibility to assign a custom CSS class so that you can easily target the layer or layers group via CSS, JavaScript, or using the interactions extension. Layers groups have a setting category unique to them called Interactive Reveal. When enabled, the group is hidden and is partially visible based on the mouse position. The style defines the type of circular pattern used for the reveal effect. The circular pattern can either have hard edges or blurred edges. Like all settings in the layer group, the effect applies to the group itself, so it works with any layer type. The size settings controls the size of the pattern. Lastly, you can add another layer of interactivity by enabling the scale on mouse press setting and specifying a scale factor that will be used to scale up or down the circular pattern based on the given value. Now that we have seen the available settings, let's see what it's like working with the FX layers by creating a card design. Here we have the Elements Hive div element with an image, some text, and a button. And the only thing we have on the FX layers is a base background color. The idea is to bring this plain-looking static card to life by adding a blobby or wavy animation to the bottom, and maybe some color highlights at the top. First, we'll add a group with a color layer inside and then assign a color. We need the layer to have some blob-like form, so we will apply a mask to our layer with one of the available blob shapes. Next, we'll position our layer to the bottom of the card. We want to blur our blob shape. If we apply a blur filter on the layer, the mask shape will not be blurred, only the original color will. In order to get the results we want, we need to apply the blur filter on the group instead. We'll apply a small blur filter so that the blob shape remains perceptible. Next, we'll duplicate the layer group and change the layer's color. Then change the mask to a different blob shape. We want to create a sort of neon or bloom effect, so we will apply a blend mode of plus lighter. The blend mode will apply to the parts where the two layers intersect. Next, we'll add a spin animation to the layer and give it a rather long duration. We'll also apply a spin animation to the first layer for more movement variation. Reverse the animation and apply a different duration. It's a little bit small in some instances during the animation. Let's move the layers a little bit to the top until we find a sweet spot we're happy with. That looks pretty good. We could definitely call it a day and use it as is, but the top part would probably look better if we add a small highlight using our red color. We'll add another layers group with a layer of type color and assign a color. We'll create a rather long pill shape, rotate it, and position it to the top right corner of the card. Lastly, we'll add a blur filter so that the color is not as pronounced. And with this, our animated card design is done. You should now have a better understanding of how FX layers compositions are built, and to start making full use of this unique feature. Be sure to download the available demo sections, study how they are built, and get inspired for your own compositions.